The Nasdaq made another all-time high today before pulling back into the close. Caution ahead of the big earnings reports from Apple, Amazon, and Microsoft and Meta platforms. But you could see the high today was 18,785, where the high on Tuesday was 753. So, about 50 points. But then it reversed. So if we take a look at a 5-minute chart, we can see how it, gapped lower at the open and then, they ran it up to 18,785 and sold off into the close. I think that's positive action. Just a little caution ahead of these mega cap earnings reports, but still looks, fantastic to me. And taking out that high from July was really important. I think, like most stocks, the indexes, once they start making highs, they continue to make highs for a little while. So I don't think today was the last of the highs for the Nasdaq. It did lose 104 points on the session, or 0.56%, and closed at 18,607. The volume was not as high as yesterday, but 18% above the 50. So some big volume coming into the Nasdaq. We got some big moves in stocks as well. You can see right now with the little pullback here, it's only 3.7% above its 50, 1.4% above its 21. This magenta line here is one that I am watching. I like my stocks above the 21. I like the index above the 21. And you can see this is just in a power trend right now. So we want to take advantage of this. All gas, no brakes, for now, until things change. And you're looking for a bar like we had here back in July, where it makes a high and then reverses lower. So we're not seeing that and closes at the low. So it's all good for the Nasdaq, and it's taken over leadership from the Dow Jones and SPY, and it's a leading index right now. And well, it should be because these earnings are coming in good. Speaking of which, I'm going to go through some earnings tonight. Some earnings movers tonight, and then get to some of the earnings that came in this afternoon. So my video today is going to focus mostly on these earnings report that came in either last night or this morning. And I'm going to start off with Google, because Google's a big, powerful, internet king. You can see it broke above its downtrend line on Monday, had a nice close on Tuesday and then moved higher today. It was up, a lot more. You can see it broke above its downtrend line. That's why I drew that line there. Actionable, maybe to want to fill that gap. I'm not too sure. It's got a couple of gaps here on the high side and the low side, but you can see it opened higher and just sold off all day. But still, it's up nearly 3% move for Google, the internet king. And the daily range is 5% of its daily range. So you can see it traded up to 182, closed at 174. Mentioned it has a gap here at 170.38, and another one up here at 180, 154. So it closed that gap. Close that gap at 182. Anyway, I'm going to move on because there's just a lot of stuff to get to. Snap reported last night, and this is showing that, the advertising is still pretty strong with Google doing well and Snap doing well. It moved 16% with big volume. So you can see that right there, the big volume move breaking out of its, its stage one base here. If I look at the weekly, trying to break out of this little bottoming pattern. So that was a good move for another internet stock. And the last one I'm going to show in this group is Reddit. Reddit, and when new merchandise starts making moves like this is something to pay attention to, because they go through, each IPO is different, but they go through phases. And this looks like it might be, it's due diligence phase. And if this thing heads into a, institutional advance phase here with this move, 42% today, this could be a big winner. So definitely something you do not want to ignore. There it is on the weekly, the breakout from that IPO base. So definitely pay attention to stocks that make moves like that. And so, okay, let's say you own this one and you're thinking, man, what do I do with this? Do I add to it? Do I sell it? Do I just hold it? If it trades below that low of 104.11 today, this low here, I would personally sell some, if not all, because it might want to come back and fill that gap, which is It's just too big of a gap from, 83, to 104. I don't want to take that trip. So definitely watching for that. What you want to see is just to go sideways, have an inside day, or maybe even take out the high from today, which was 118.25. So it closed at 84% of its daily range. Hell of a move for Reddit. I don't care if it's, people say it's overvalued, blah, blah, blah. It doesn't matter. Somebody's buying this stock. Somebody likes what they heard. Somebody with money that could move the stock. It's got a 19 billion market cap. I get it, for what, little over a billion in sales. I get it. But that you don't want to do that calculus here when you own a growth stock like this. It's a new issue. The new merchandise, investors obviously like it. Yeah, there's a short squeeze in there. It's got considerable, about 8% short, but I'm just saying, my history of, growth stocks and a bull market that make moves like this, they're not to be ignored. That's all I'm going to say. Congratulations to the Reddit long. That's fantastic move. Garmin, they reported this morning, I believe, they make they make the fishing equipment, GPS systems for, I have one for in my golf bag for golf, but when you see, power from the pivot like that, this powerful move above that 184.42, that is not to be ignored. That's a heck of a move for Garmin, 23% with that type of volume. You see the RS line here, once again, I think I say this every day, when the RS line goes through, the, the moving averages like that's another indicator that it's time to go. It's go time at 184 now. It's $20 above that level. So you don't want to chase, but definitely, that's something that goes on the watch list, these gaps higher. See if it can, go sideways or even tack on more gains. So Garmin, Reddit, definitely a couple stocks that I'm looking for. XPO, transportation stock. The economy's good when transportation stocks are making moves like this. And they cited their pricing is reasons for their, excellent revenue. For this quarter, it was up, 11% with big volume there, 210% above average daily volume. So these are big moves for stocks like this. This is a transportation logistics stock. And yeah, it's shown the ability to move before, move, consolidate. And now it's breaking out of this consolidation. That looks good to me. XPO. Very nice. Congrats to the longs with XPO. Another one on my list, OMCL. Probably nobody's ever heard of this one. It's a medical systems equipment stock. I wouldn't say thinly traded, but 400,000 a day, not bad. 2.4 billion market cap. Once again, power from the pivot, man. When you see that type of power going through that $45 level, I mean, and the RS line just straight through the moving averages. This is some real powerful stuff. I got to be honest, I don't know what this company does, or all I know is that they showed up on my screen today, and yeah, healthcare system stock. So it's not big enough. It's like I said, 2.4 billion, not big enough to move the rest of the cohort, but we got to notice strength when we see it. Speaking of which, retail internet stock power through the pivot big time. The closing range was only 43%. You want to see it in the upper quartile, or at least upper half. But that's a powerful move through that pivot once again. So a lot of these are not extended and breaking higher. They're in bases and they're breaking through their pivot points, which is, pretty critical. This is not one of those frothy, moves here in the market. These are stocks that have consolidated for a long time and now they're breaking out. And that's what you want to see. This one's just breaking out of a stage one base, up 30% this week. So Fiverr International, congrats to the longs there. All right, I got to get to the restaurant stocks. A couple of them that were setting up. Shake Shack. I don't like to have big positions heading into earnings. This one was setting up, consolidating here with lighter volume. The last couple of days started picking up. As of Monday, it made a move here of 3.5%. A little inside quiet day on Tuesday, and today popped on earnings, but closed near the low of the session, only 8% of that daily range. It was up to 130, closed at 122. So, the gap there is at 115.24, and it could get there in a heartbeat. So I'll be careful there. But that's the type of move you want to see, breaking out from bases and not totally extended wild moves. So that's where we're at in the market right now. Brinker International, this is one that is extended. You can see it broke out already, ran. I've been talking about this one just being a Kelly Slater stock, and it's still gapped, 7.5% higher. And the daily range is 61%, so that's a little better, only 157% above average daily volume, but nice move for Brinker. This one has been just charging higher. This is the one with the Chili's Maggiano's, or I guess their margaritas must be fantastic, but you could see consistent sales growth and 239% EPS growth. So that's why that stock is moving higher. Cake, Cheesecake Factory. I must confess, I have not been to Cheesecake Factory. My wife says their cheesecake is to die for, so I have to take her word for it. 9% move with 300% above average daily volume, closed near the lowest session. We don't like that. 5% of its daily range. So anyway, so the retail restaurants, folks are dining out, obviously, and these stocks are doing well. 49% EPS growth, we'll take it. And then EXTR, this is a networking stock, with Cisco and Juniper. What's the other one I'm thinking of? Arista Networks. And this one's, power through the pivot as well. But what the problem is here is the closing range is 5%. So we saw a lot of this today. Stocks, selling off into the close because institutions are taking profit and they're cautious ahead of what, Apple and Amazon and Microsoft and Meta platforms might be saying. So they don't know. You got to wait and see. Like if you're from Missouri, you got to show me. And you should be that way too in the stock market. Make stocks show you improve. Make the indexes prove themselves, like the Nasdaq with its power trend. It's proving to us that it wants higher prices and making new highs. So that's why we're going all in. All right, it wasn't all peaches and cream and roses and sunshine today. AMD did the classic, beat. They beat and top and bottom line, and then they sandbag their guidance. Well, Wall Street's going to reward, raise guidance and not lowered. They're on to the game here. So this thing sold off a little more than I thought it would, 10%. The numbers were pretty decent. You could see the accelerating sales growth, 2, 9, 18. Earnings growth, 3%, 19%, 31%. That's what you want to see. But it's just the lowered guidance. It just, put the damper on this stock. So I think it'll be fine, overall. But if you want to own, I always preach about owning leaders in different sectors. And NVIDIA is obvious the leader here. Lilly, they reported, God, I'm ambivalent on this one. I hold it in my retirement account. AMD as well. But this really didn't bother me because they showed solid sales growth, solid earnings growth. Yeah, it sold off, it was down 100 something points, down to 769. Wow, almost down to this low from back in August. Anyway, the report wasn't that great. They talked about the demand softening for their weight loss drugs, which is not what Wall Street wants to hear, and they just sell now and ask questions later. I think Lilly will be fine overall, but that's pretty tough to take. You'll wake up to if you're trading this thing. That's why I say if you're playing the earnings game is a coin flip at best. So I wouldn't have anything in a stock that I wasn't willing to lose. If you're just buying it here, if you've owned it for years and years, well, you can see that Lilly's just been a monster. So I think it'll still be the first $1 trillion market cap drug stock. It's got ways to go now after the pullback today, but it's at 800 billion. Anyway, I'm going to move on from the one that was worse. And this is why I say, man, if you're holding into earnings, man, this is really can give you great heartache. I have an educational video on my site here about mcstockcharts.com about my formula for holding into earnings. You have to have a cushion of the worst day in the past year plus a 5% stop loss. So if it's like the worst day was 10% and you had a 5% stop loss, then you need a 15% cushion just to hold into earnings. but it's not always foolproof. Because sometimes they just make moves like this, and man, down 27%. And you can see that there's, I don't know, I think it was about 10% its worst day. No, it was more than that, 14%. So you didn't need with my formula, you need a 20% cushion holding into earnings, and wouldn't be enough. That would be a fail. You lose. You don't want to be a loser. So you got to be really careful heading into earnings, and QRVO just bit the dust today. So it's AMD and QRVO in the semiconductor space really hurt the semiconductor group, but Chipotle didn't hurt those the restaurant stocks. This one, same store sales was down just a smidge. I thought it was a pretty decent report, but Wall Street wanted more. You are seeing a decelerating sales growth here, 14, 18, 13. And the EPS 29, 36, 17. So not the end of the world, but it's sliced its 200. And it's going to need a timeout here for a little bit for Chipotle. And then another one in the medical services space. This was Option Care Health down 23%. So I'm just showing you the good and the bad here. I mean, if you hold into earnings, this could happen to you. So yeah, you could have something like a Reddit, but you could also have something like this. So it's a lot of risk, and you have to manage your risk properly, or you're going to wake up with a 25% haircut, and that's a lot of pain to take. All right, so I did mention Cuervo and AMD, kind of not doing so great with their earnings, and that kind of impacted the semiconductor names a little bit. There was weakness in the SMH today. I still like Broadcom. I'd have to say Broadcom and NVIDIA are kind of the leaders here. This one just pulled back, getting support at the 21. Inside day today, not too bad. NVIDIA, a little worse today. I was a little disappointed with the pen action in NVIDIA. It's now below its 10. So I would expect a shakeout before its earnings report. I mean, this stock is looking fantastic. Just setting up in a base here. The 21's moving up every day. It's now at 135.34. So maybe a shakeout to the 21 before earnings, which is, I don't know, 3 weeks away. 3 weeks from today, actually. So yeah, these stocks kind of got hit. ARM is another one that's been kind of volatile lately. Traded down to its 50, then ramped up. Today just had an inside day. Not bad. Pulled back to its 10, down, less than 2%. But yeah, the semiconductors are kind of weak today. Rotation out of that group. Some of the other names in the data centers, the data center number for AMD was really strong. So I thought the data centers would do well today, but Vertiv, just that back to the 10. SMCI has its own issues. Yeah, this is just dead money here. Down 33%. They're Ernst & Young, their accounting firm, resigned, and had letters stating, about their practices there at SMCI. This is a huge avoid. Don't try to get cute here and catch a falling knife. Even though it's at 33 from 122, this one can still go much, much lower. And then Dell responded how I thought that the data centers would respond after that AMD report. Is up, 6%. Nice move here for Dell. They're going to report on the 26th. All right. Enough of that hardware stuff. I've got to go to the software. This is AppLovin, made a new high, then pulled back today. Not the end of the world. This thing needs to pull back. They're going to report next week. Let me show you here on a 5-minute chart how it made a new high and then sold off into the close. This thing's such a monster stock. It needs to pull back. Give some others a chance to get in, get some of those holders out of there, let them take profits, and give a chance for some new investors to get in there. Yeah, this thing's 37% above the 50 and only 6.5% above the fast rising 10. So that looks pretty good. A couple other ones that I have on my ready listed MC stock charts. Duolingo, I just like it above this box level here. Oh my gosh, it closed below 300. 300 is probably going to be resistance for a little bit, but it is trying to break out of that box or that 297. So it did that today. It ran up. I tell you, this is going to attract some people here. They have earnings next week, but yeah, breaking out of that box is a deal. There you see the consolidation here. double bottom base, flat base pattern, and now, shelf pattern now trading higher. But 300 is going to be a challenge for this one. Duolingo looks pretty good. Spot is the other one. That one had a nice move yesterday and just an inside day today. Not bad. Oh, I've got to go back to Duolingo. I wanted to just point out that it did make a new high today, even though it closed below 300. New high of 311.91. So that would be your target there. And it's just finding support. It's moving averages, doing nothing wrong, even though it closed near the lows of the session, right? 40% of the daily range. So, all right. Another one that I like, and I think it pulled back like it's 65. EMA, I'm not going to change it pulled back to like it's 65 moving average and now has rallied back through the last 5 sessions. It got downgraded, had a real rough time with the downgrade, stopped going lower. And then, these 2 days here, 23rd, 25.79, 26.07, and then started trading higher. Now it's challenging that $30 level. Today's high was 29.53, and it closed near 79% of the daily range. So I like that move. Undercut and rally through the 50. Looks pretty good. They don't report earnings till Armistice Day, 11/11. All right, we're moving on here. Oh, Q2. This is one that I had on my red list a few weeks ago, and nobody talks about it. Just it broke out and it's just quietly surfing the moving averages. Don't tell anybody. It was up another percent today, made a new high of 86.25. Doing nothing wrong here. They report earnings next week as well. So we're seeing a lot of these stocks that are reporting earnings next week. AppLovin, Duolingo, Q2. There's just a lot of them. I'm going to move on. So I went to the hardware. I went to the software. I'm going to go to the drugs. ITCI. I should have put this one in with the earnings group. Up 11% on earnings, breaking through. That's power through the pivot once again. Medical biotech stock. Nice move there. And then VRTX. This is not one that I talk about much, but this has just been a real quality stock for a long, long time. If you just look at, the monthly chart now, this is, it looks like NVO and Eli Lilly is one of those real powerful drug stocks. Anyway, that looks good on all time frames. It's up 1% today. They're going to report earnings. Next week will be another busy week. All right. And then the last drug stock that I have is EXEL, another one of these moves on. Yeah. Have we seen this pattern before here? The pullback, the dips are being bought. This is what I mean. The dips pulls back to a moving average, it gets bought. Pulls back to moving average, it gets bought. This little bull wedge pattern is back to the 10 now, and it's up, 13%. So, congrats to the longs there at EXEL. That's a nice move on earnings. Okay, I gotta get to my the boomers are retiring and they're or retired and they're taking money out of their 401ks and they're not letting their kids inherit any of it. They're spending it. That's my story and I'm sticking to it. These things just keep going higher. This is United Airlines, new highs. You can see the ants there starting to show up because of all the up days with volume. And then Delta Airlines, breakout, trading higher. Alaska Airlines, these, I'm just showing you strength there. SKYW, SkyWest, new highs. You can't argue with this stuff. They're just doing really well. Royal Caribbean, they reported yesterday, just had an inside day today after that pop. But and then I shouldn't. Oh well, since I'm here, they're going to report tomorrow. Norwegian cruise in the morning, and I'll get to that in a minute. But there you can see the pullbacks being bought, and like I say, the boomers are dining out. They're traveling all over the world. They're booking trips, and they're spending their money. So that's good for the economy and the consumer. How about that? Consumer stocks. Anyway, I'm going to move on from that group to the construction names. Once again, Knife River. This is God. I think I show this a lot lately because it keeps making new highs, and you can't argue with new highs. They're going to report next week. Looks like Monday, the 4th. So that looks pretty good. This is Eagle Materials, wallboard company, pulled back to its 50 and bounced today nearly 2%. we'll take that. And then Granite, another construction company, just hugging its moving averages, doing well. Eaton, which is a big, diversified conglomerate. Wow, that looks like it belongs on somebody's ready list. They're going to report earnings tomorrow, so we're going to pay attention to Eaton. I believe it's first thing in the morning. And then the last one is USLM. Eaton's kind of a data center play. And then this is the US Lime and Minerals, thinly traded, but I'm just acknowledging big moves here. And they reported after the bell today, it looks like, and up 5%. So more new highs for USLM, US Lime and Minerals. All right, I'm going to move on from the construction names. I've got to get to some of the retail groups. This is Fiverr, and once again, power through the pivot, right? Retail internet stock. I showed you that one already. Look familiar. Oh, Shark Ninja, another one. Just Kelly Slater stock, man. Just nobody talks about Shark Ninja. It's just a strong stock making new highs. Yeah, you gotta like that. SNA, we had SN and SNA, which is Snap-on Tools, making new high and pulling back today. Let's see what that looks like. Yeah, new high in the morning and just sold off into the close. A lot of stocks look like that today. And then the last one I'm going to show is Deckers. Deckers reported last week, had a nice move, and now it's just kind of forming this shelf here, allowing the moving averages to catch up. I kind of like the action in Deckers as well. It's just flat in this session, but flat is good, after a big move. All right, so that's enough of the retail names for today. Oh, the last group is kind of the financials. This is a digital payment platform, kind of like a firm for, digital payments. Thinly traded, but just acknowledging new highs here. And that's SEZL, SEZL, making a nice move. Zion Bank, I use Zion Bank, and this thing looks fantastic. Just bumping its head up against that buy point, that standard buy point there. So that looks pretty good. They have earnings out of the way already. Most of the banks do. First Horizon, another one of these, up below 10 billion market cap, breaking out. This is a really nice look here. Kind of a textbook pattern here where it's got this like cup, with handle as it handles back here. I call it a bull wedge, a handle, whatever. Did close near the low of the session today. I think you're going to see the same profile on most stocks. First hour, they're up, and then selling into the close. So I wouldn't let that discourage me. EWBC, this is another one that I haven't really talked about much. A regional bank, 120 branches in California, Georgia, Nevada, New York. Anyway, broke out. Once again, that pullback to the moving average in the pop. So that looks good as well. Anyway, that's it for me. Thank you for watching, except for in the honor of the great Steve Jobs. I have one more thing. And I mentioned the earnings tonight. Microsoft reported earnings. It was up more immediately after the report, but still, up $3 is better than being down. They had a strong report, a beat on the top and bottom line. So we'll just see how that one responds tomorrow. All they can do is beat, I don't know. They might have said something on the conference call. This is Meta Platforms, another, fantastic earnings report. It had run up quite a bit. It wasn't down. If you look at Microsoft heading into the earnings, I mean, it made a high and now is sold off, right? I mean, so a lot of bad news was priced in. This is pinching in pretty nice though, actually. Whereas Meta was making new highs. It just made a new high here, trying to clear that 600. So it might get a little Matombo treatment tomorrow. But to me, just based on the first glimpse of that report, I would be a buyer on weakness of Meta Platforms. But we'll see in the morning. I'll have more in the morning on Meta and see what Zuck has to say at his conference call. They're still spending, these hyperscalers are still spending, and that's going to benefit NVIDIA, who doesn't report till 3 weeks from today, as I said earlier. All right, so I got those two out of the way. Then GoDaddy reported. I didn't hear anything about GoDaddy. Yeah, there's no movement here. DoorDash did report, really good report. Yeah, okay. 154 down $1.25, pretty flat. I would keep my eye on that one. What you want to see is a pullback to a moving average, kind of like it did today. That moving average is rising every day. Yesterday was 1974, so it's going up, I don't know, 55, 60 cents a day. So tomorrow, that 10 will be about, I don't know, over 153. So maybe a pullback to 153 and then a bounce. That's what I would look for DoorDash with that type of earnings report. I did look at that earnings report. It was pretty darn good. I don't think the stock's going to sell off much on that type of beat and raise quarter. Carvana is squeezing after hours. It was up 22%. When I was looking at it, it was like 230. Now it's 254. So the shorts are definitely getting squeezed out of this one here. And I like to see that type of action. That's fantastic. Um, good for the shorts to learn, you're getting too cute and you get hammered. And then Etsy reported, Etsy is retail internet stock. It reported up, nearly 12%. We'll take that again. So it's looking pretty good after hours so far. But let me get to the crypto stocks because Hood, there was a terrible quarter. I'm surprised it's only down 7.5%. They missed and they missed and they missed on all metrics. Boo-hoo. MicroStrategy, I didn't see what they reported, but I did know that they allocated more money to buy more Bitcoin. So it was down to like 225. Now it's back up, only down, 4%. Not bad for that one. And then Coinbase, I think they're doing damage control here. Yeah, only down 2%. So the crypto stocks aren't getting hammered like I thought they would because their reports were not good. Okay, I mentioned the boomer trade, right? Where they're just spending their money and booking travel, and this is Booking Holdings, the king of the booking stocks, 150 billion market cap, and it's going to gain tomorrow. It's up 6% after hours. So I didn't hear from that report, but that's a good move. And I'm sticking to my thesis because the boomer is a big, large group, and if they're all spending money, uh, yeah, I mean, it's going to be good for the economy. It's going to be good for some of these booking, travel, dining stocks, so I like that. Good for them. All right. I think that's it for, Amgen. Amgen reported, I didn't hear what they reported. Yeah, big nothing burger after hours. Okay. Tomorrow morning, we have Uber reporting. Uber, oh man, it made this high in some news. I forget the news. I think it was the self-driving, Tesla self-driving, where Elon said it wouldn't be for a while. But anyway, pull back to moving average, and they're going to report that actually looks pretty darn good. To me, I want my stocks pulling back a little bit into earnings and not just ripping totally higher. But hey, um, we'll just see what they have to say in the morning. Merck reports in the morning too. Ugh, that is just one ugly chart right there. ConocoPhillips, the oil and gas stocks have been hurting. The price of that commodity is so low right now. So I don't expect much from them. MasterCard reports in the morning. Nice pullback to the 21. So we'll see what happens. They got a little pop with the Visa number last night. Oh, Estee Lauder, they have a lot of exposure to China, and China's been really weak. So I don't expect much from Estee in the morning. It's going to affect those stocks, like Elf and Coty and the fragrance names. K, which is Kellanova, they got bought out. They're still reporting tomorrow, and who knows if that deal will go through. And then Norwegian Cruise Line Holdings, I showed you that. Yeah, they're reporting tomorrow morning, so we'll just have to wait and see. My thesis, pull back into earnings with man, I like this. With the way the cruise lines and airlines and leisure services stocks have been reporting, I would think they'd have to report a pretty good number. We'll have to wait and see. Anyway, thank you for watching. I'll have more at mcstockcharts.com in the morning. Have a great evening and never, ever give up.